First, before we get to our first post investigation, the big story of the day, a big blow for defaulter liquor baron Vijay Mallya, this man, and a big boost to India's efforts to try and bring him back from London. A special Prevention of Money Laundering Act court in Mumbai today declared him a proclaimed offender. That basically upholds an enforcement directorate petition that was made before that court. Multiple warrants and already a non-bailable warrant has been issued against Mr. Mallya. And this, of course, against cases of check bounce as well as a loan default to the tune of 900 crore rupees. But how does this new tag of proclaimed offender take forward the efforts to bring a fugitive Mallya back to India? For one, it opens the doors to a potential deportation, essentially strengthening India's case to have him returned to India. Under European Union rules, Britain, of course, is part of the European Union, at least for the next 2 weeks, till that possible Brexit happens. But under EU rules, he cannot be deported unless he's declared a proclaimed offender. The order will now be sent to the British authorities, and the Indian government can seek execution of that order. And this proclaimed offender status will also help India get a red corner notice issued against Vijay Mallya. Now, while that was the story of the day, let's now shift focus to our first post investigation, which has revealed how banks have colluded with Vijay Mallya, helping him to try and get around the rules. We're getting you that expose now on how banks are messing up the process of recovering loans that are due to them from Vijay Mallya. Back in December, Bank of Baroda, which had lent up to 550 crore rupees to Mr. Mallya, started freezing the accounts of those who stood as guarantors for Vijay Mallya. Some of them turned out to be dummies. Now, the bank is blaming this on a technical glitch, but is there more to that story? First Post reporters Shishir Tripathi and Sanjay Sawant tracked down 3 of those guarantors. Mallya's first guarantor is a farmer named Manmohan Singh. He hails from Pilibhit in Uttar Pradesh. He's a small farmer. He's struggling to make ends meet. He's paying off a 4 lakh rupee loan. He's literally having to bend over backwards to meet his monthly installment for those 4 lakhs. And at the same time, he's having to provide for treatment for a wife who's suffering from brain tumor. Imagine his utter shock when back in December of last year, this Manmohan Singh, farmer from Pilibhit in Uttar Pradesh, gets a call from the Bank of Baroda telling him that he was a guarantor to a 550 crore loan given to Vijay Mallya, and that his account, with at that time, by the way, had a little over 1,000 rupees in it, was going to be frozen. And he was told he was due for legal action. Manmohan Singh showed First Post a copy of that letter that was sent to him. This was sent from the Mumbai head office of the Bank of Baroda to his branch in Pilibhit, Uttar Pradesh. Now, the first 4 names that you see on this document, they are Vijay Mallya as well as his relatives, 3 of his relatives. Manmohan Singh's name figures at number 5 in that list. And yet, it says, now, if you look at the Vijay Mallya and relatives of Vijay Mallya, while their branches are in the big cities, whether it's in Mumbai or in Vadodara, Mr. Manmohan Singh's branch is in an obscure place called Nand in Pilibhit, Uttar Pradesh. Now, here's the interesting thing. First Post then went on to identify who was the real Manmohan Singh who stood guarantee for Vijay Mallya. That turns out to be this gentleman here. His name is Manmohan Singh Kapoor. He was one of the 7 directors on the Kingfisher board. He happens to be a big shot. He's a former chairman of Vijaya Bank. He's also on the board of a clutch of other companies. This gentleman, this Manmohan Singh Kapoor, is a career banker. He was the man who stood guarantee for Vijay Mallya's 550 crore loan from Bank of Baroda. But instead of freezing this man's account, Bank of Baroda freezes this man, Manmohan Singh, farmer from Pilibhit. Let's listen in to what Manmohan Singh, the farmer, had to say.
ये क्रॉप लोन 4 लाख, क्रॉप लोन जमा करने के लोन में मैं सब जमा करोगे आपको निकलेगा नहीं। हमने क्यों नहीं निकलेगा कि आपके वहाँ से विजय माल्या से आप गारंटर हैं। विजय माल्या जानते ना कौन विजय माल्या कौन क्या ना देखा ना कभी सुना कहीं से। जिस वक्त हमारा ब्याज कम पड़ता था, इसने ब्याज के दूना ब्याज देना पड़ा, उसमें 40,000 रुपये ब्याज लगा दिया बीच से जोड़ के। और टाइम पे जमा होता था, खाता स्टेटमेंट से ही चलता रहता और टाइम पे जमा नहीं करा। 3 महीना से चक्कर लगा रहे। मैंने कहा आपका खाता चला देंगे तो जमा कर देना। ना खाता चलाया आज तक उन्होंने। और सब परेशान है। हमारे घर वाली ब्रेन ट्यूमर है, उन्हें ही परेशान है। हम भी सब परेशान है, काम से रुके पड़े। हाँ जी, नहीं तो किंगफिशर के आप वो बने गारंटर होने पैसे जमीन एकदम सड़क के नीचे हार्ट अटैक होने के लिए हो गया कि
Poor farmer owes 4 lakhs to Bank of Baroda, has to provide for the medical treatment of a wife who's suffering from brain tumor, and suddenly his bank account is frozen because the Bank of Baroda felt that he was the Manmohan Singh who stood as guarantor to Vijay Mallya. Let's get to the next guarantor on the Bank of Baroda's 9-member list. This name, Subhash R. Gupta, features as many as 4 times in that list. Now, the Subhash R. Gupta that the Bank of Baroda, whose bank account the bank froze, happens to be a security guard. He lives in a slum redevelopment building in Vile Parle in Mumbai. Gupta and his brother just managed to open the door just a bit to the first post team. He's supposed to be one of the persons who acted as a guarantor to Vijay Mallya's 500 crore plus loan. His account, at the time that it was frozen by the Bank of Baroda, guess how much it had in it? 93 rupees. He has a bank balance of less than $100, and this man, Subhash R. Gupta of Vile Parle, Mumbai, standing guarantee for a 550 crore loan. Subhash Gupta has got his account in Bandra in Mumbai. His name features at number 9. There are 3, by the way, 3 other Subhash R. Guptas at number 6, 7 and 8 whose accounts were also frozen by Bank of Baroda. The bank zeroed in on these 3 unsuspecting Subhash R. Guptas when the real Subhash Gupta that they should have gone for is this gentleman here, Subhash R. Gupte, former acting chairman and managing director of Air India, India's national carrier, who up until just recently was on the board of Kingfisher Airlines. Instead of going after this big fish, they go after a security guard with 93 bucks in his bank account. Let's listen in to Subhash Gupte, the security guard from Vile Parle.
कल मैं बैंड्रा ब्रांच में जाके आया।
हाँ।
तो बोला ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, अगर ऐसा प्रॉब्लम लग रहा है तो आप ओपेरा हाउस ब्रांच में जाके एक बार इसके बारे में डिटेल निकालो।
अंदर कुछ किया नहीं है।
अरे हम भी अरे बॉस, आपके भाई को मालूम है, हम भी बोल रहे हैं ना कि आपने कुछ नहीं किया है बैंक में।
बैंक जाके
हाँ तो क्या बोले?
बैंक में बोले कुछ ऐसा लफड़ा तुम लोग का कुछ नहीं, ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है।
बोले क्या?
बोले ऐसा कुछ किया जो खोला ना मोदी ने वो है।
वो एक आपने यूज ही नहीं किया है।
मेरा भी अकाउंट है, मैंने भी यूज नहीं किया, वो ऐसे ही पड़ा।
हाँ, जब से खोला वैसे। लेकिन ये 83 रुपये आपने कितने रुपए से खोला था वो अकाउंट?
अभी मोदी का स्टार्ट किया ना 12 रुपये से।
12 रुपये वाला है ये। आप बोलेंगे कि कम से कम हम लोग बाबा बैंक में गए, तो बैंक वाले क्या बोले आपको?
बोला आपको खार ओपेरा वाले ब्रांच में जाके आपको फाइंड आउट करना पड़ेगा कि इस बंदे ने जो लोन लिया है,
हाँ, सचमुच ये गारंटर है कि नहीं?
सचमुच ये गारंटर है कि नहीं?
I mean, think about that for a second. Here's a poor security guard with less than $100 in his bank account, opens the bank account under the new Jan Dhan Yojana of the Prime Minister. And I hope there are folks in the Prime Minister's office who are watching this. His bank account is then frozen because the bank thinks he's the guy who stood guarantee for a 500 crore loan. Let's get back to the Subhash Guptas. There were 4 mentions of Subhash Guptas. The other Subhash Gupta, whose bank account was frozen by Bank of Baroda, is this gentleman. He happens to be another laughable scapegoat. Subhash Ramdulare Gupta. He's a vegetable vendor, again in Mumbai. He lives in Khar. He seems to be just slightly better off than the other Subhash Guptas. He's got 2 fixed deposits. He's got 1 savings bank account. Funds total about 2.5 lakh rupees. But think about it. 2.5 lakh rupees, standing guarantee for a 550 crore loan. Now, the bank document shows him at numbers 6, 7 and 8. That's Subhash Ramdulare Gupta at 6, Subhash R. Gupta at 7, and again Subhash R. Gupta at number 8. All separate account numbers in the Khar West branch, but all of that traced to this one individual. The real man that they were actually looking for and whose accounts they should have actually frozen, Subhash R. Gupte, up until recently a member of the board of Kingfisher Airlines, formerly Managing Director and Acting Chairman of Air India. What is going on? I mean, let's try and make sense of this absolutely mind-boggling story. I'm joined by the two First Post reporters who broke this fascinating investigation. Here in our studios, we have Shishir Tripathi, senior editor with First Post. We're also joined by First Post's Mumbai Bureau Chief Sanjay Sawant, who was also part of this investigation. I'd also like to welcome Abhay Amma, senior economist, and also Giri Prakash. He's with the Business Line newspaper and also written a fascinating book on Vijay Mallya as well as the fall of Kingfisher Airlines. Shishir, let me start with you. I mean, this is absolutely mind-boggling. You have a poor farmer in Pilibhit, you have this security guard in Mumbai, you have a vegetable vendor. The bank has frozen the accounts of these people, thinking that they were the ones who stood guarantee for Vijay Mallya. How does one even explain? I mean, the bank says Manmohan Singh's case, it was a technical error. But for it to happen again and again, I mean, it just baffles the common man, and I'm sure our viewers are baffled by it.
No, you're absolutely right. Initially, when we started following the story, we also thought that there might be the possibility of a technical error. But when we visited Pilibhit and we were trying to coordinate with the bank people, we were trying to talk to them. Their entire approach was so evasive. They were not at all willing to talk to us. Rather, one of the junior officials in the bank told us that they have got clear instruction not to talk to media.
Okay. And these instructions are coming from Bombay?
See, the instructions came from the zonal branch in Shahjahanpur.
Okay.
That's what they told us.
Okay.
So I mean, we don't know how to go with it because none of them were ready to talk. So I mean, we just chanced upon a person who told us that he knows Manmohan Singh and he knows that he has a written communication, which was a copy of a written communication which was sent from the Nariman Point branch in Bombay, instructing to freeze Manmohan Singh account. So we went again to Manmohan Singh, who told us that okay, he has the copy, and he showed the copy to us.
That was the document that we just showed.
Yeah, that was the document which had the list of 9 people whose account was to be frozen. Okay. And that was absolutely shocking because 4 of the people were from Mallya's family and other 5 people were people whom we don't know. I mean, there was no apparent relationship with Vijay Mallya. And the biggest shocking thing in that list was the fact that all of them had a very small accounts in their saving, 93 rupees, 1200 rupees, and which could not in any possible manner have been someone of who's a standing guarantee for Vijay Mallya.
Who can stand guarantee for a 500 crore loan with 93 rupees in your bank account? Sanjay Sawant spoke with the security guard there, Subhash R. Gupta from Vile Parle. He lives in a slum redevelopment building. I mean, here's a man who's opened his bank account because he wanted to take advantage of the Prime Minister's newly launched insurance, Bima Yojana, I think it's called. And his bank account is frozen because somebody in the Bombay branch of Bank of Baroda thought this is the Subhash Gupta who stood guarantee. You spoke to the security guard, his brother. Just tell our viewers what that experience was like.
Dhaka, when I went at Parla SRA home at Subhash Gupta resident, he are so frightened. They are not open to door. We repeatedly asked him, we are a journalist. Then his elder brother Ganesh opened a door and said, we have nothing to say anything, because how it is possible that my younger brother is a guarantor of Vijay Mallya. He is so frightened because they open an account of rupees Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana in around August 2014, and that poor security guard didn't bother to visit a bank. Did their account is open or freeze?
Okay. Abhay Amma,
it's very shocking to me when
it's really shocking. I mean, you know, these are poor people, these are gullible people. Isn't there a procedure when somebody stands guarantee for such huge amounts of loan? Isn't there a basic due diligence that a bank would do to find out who this Manmohan Singh is, who this Subhash Gupta is?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, if what you are saying is correct, then this is not defensible at all. If there is, forget Vijay Mallya, any high value loan. I mean, this is not one small guarantor for a car loan or a personal loan that you had problem in identifying who the guarantor was. It was a big loan, so all the identification in any case should have been proper. I mean, if you have a guarantor, you will have his proper identity. You will have his, you would have, have him on record. After that, this has been such a high-profile case, and if you end up doing something like this, then it's sad, because Bank of Baroda is a wonderful brand, and the management is very good. So I find it very, very difficult to explain.
No, so shouldn't there be some amount of accountability? Shouldn't there be some amount of accountability? Whoever these officers were, we don't know who sent out this letter. We don't know who identified these innocent, gullible people. Shouldn't somebody in Bank of Baroda be held accountable for this colossal mistake?
I'm sure. I mean, there's no denying that. They should be held responsible, and I think it's not only an internal matter, that should be now public knowledge, given that it has the profile that the account has. That would do its brand a lot of good. Plus, not only that, I think the people who have been inconvenienced or who are undergoing the trauma of there should be a proper compensation for these guys, whether it's the security guard or whether it is with 93 rupees or it's 1,25,000 rupees. I think Bank of Baroda owes it to them to provide some kind of for the mental agony.
You know what the shocking part? You know what the shocking part is, Abhay, that and I want Sanjay Sawant as well as Shishir to weigh in on this. That Bank of Baroda has not even said sorry to these people. Is that right, Sanjay?
Yeah. The big question and big concern for us, because if Bank of Baroda, not a Khar branch, not a Bandra branch, and not a Nariman Point branch, says sorry or apologize to the poor customer because they are illiterate, anytime they can freeze their account and seal it. This is a very shocking to us. I know it is not a scam or anything, but how the Bank of Baroda, like a bank, public sector bank, they are not a cross-checking who are the guarantor. Because the Manmohan Singh Kapoor and Subhash R. Gupta also not a guarantor.
No, Manmohan Singh and Subhash R. Gupta are also not guarantors, Shishir. They happen to be directors on the now defunct board of Kingfisher Airlines.
That was the explanation given by the Bank of Baroda. I mean, when we confronted them, we sent them questionnaire asking about that. They are directors of the Kingfisher Airlines and not the guarantors. And that's why their accounts have been frozen. And I would like to point one thing.
Can your account be frozen if you're let's say, for example, I think one of them is an independent director, right?
Yeah.
One of them happens to be an independent director. If you're an independent director and this company goes bust, can your bank account be frozen as per law?
No, according to bank official, unless and until you stand guarantee to that, it can't be done. So the explanation given by Bank of Baroda in itself was quite strange. And when you were talking about the problems faced by, I like to mention this, that in case of Manmohan Singh, he has suffered financial loss of 40,000 rupees. And that's something huge for a marginal farmer like Manmohan Singh. And he told us, I just had a word with him 2 days ago. He just said that he has been again approaching bank to just see that his 40,000 interest,
is waived
which he was not supposed to give, is waived off. But he's getting no relief from bank on that side too. So that and again,
I'd like to appeal to the chairman of Bank of Baroda, if he's watching this program. There's a poor farmer called Manmohan Singh in Pilibhit, Uttar Pradesh. He's got a 4 lakh loan from your bank, and because of the rank incompetency of somebody in your Mumbai branch, his bank account got frozen and he's now having to pay interest of 40,000 rupees. That's 10% of the loan that he owes you. Please, if for nothing else, to try and make up for the rank incompetency of one of your employees and also to show some basic human compassion, I would appeal to the chairman of the Bank of Baroda to please waive off this 40,000. It's bad enough that you froze his account. It's bad enough that he has to bend over backwards to meet that monthly installment and care for a wife who's suffering from brain tumor, the least you can do is this. Giri Prakash, I'm raising a much more fundamental question. You know, you can brush aside one mistake as a technical glitch, as the bank has done in the case of Manmohan Singh, but this has happened far too often. There are two other Subhash Guptes who Shishir and Sanjay have managed to track down. I'm asking a more fundamental question. Is there reason enough, prima facie, to say, okay, this needs to be investigated? We need to find out if there are people in the bank who are protecting or trying to protect the real Manmohan Singh and the real Subhash Gupte.
You know, if for a moment you leave aside the utter stupidity on the part of some of the officials of the bank, look at the larger picture. Is this the only scam that has come to surface? It's because of you and First Post, and because Vijay Mallya is there, we have come to know about it. But there must be similar ones which must have happened in several other cases. And for all you know, someone who is innocent must be paying for someone else's sins. And this just cannot happen, and they just cannot brush it aside and say that, you know, it was just a clerical mistake. The bank officials need to be taken to court, or because these guys are very poor, I wish there is an NGO which steps in and decides to fight on their behalf and gets to the bottom of the truth and finds out what exactly is wrong here. And let me also tell you, this just goes to show how public sector banks have handled our money and how some of the biggest barons in the country, business barons in the country, have got away with the way some of these banks have approached the whole issue of loans. If today some of these banks have not been able to get money out of Mallya, this more or less showcases their inefficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, at a time when the central government, the finance ministry is trying to get these banks to clean up their books, Shishir, you know, this story perfectly illustrates the problems that public sector banks are in the middle of. I mean, when a regular middle class person, and Abhay referred to this, middle class person goes for a home loan or a car loan or even a personal loan, look at the number of documents that they ask you for, you know, ID proof, address proof, guarantees, referrals. And here you have people who supposedly have stood guarantee for a 500 crore loan, and they've sent it to these poor farmers, poor security guards and poor vegetable vendors. Is it time now for the finance ministry to step in? I mean, somebody in the Bank of Baroda should be held accountable for this.
Absolutely. I mean, it was astonishing because when I spoke to the bank manager of Nan branch, I asked him that once only he spoke to us. So I asked him that if there was an instruction also from your headquarters, you could have just spoken about it, that here is a farmer who is a good credit. I mean, his credit is good. He has never defaulted any loan. How can you ask him to, ask us to freeze the loan? But he didn't do anything. So obviously in this case, Finance Ministry, Department of Financial Services needs to intervene and see that these things are not repeated again. I mean,
this story, you know, it really is so mind-boggling at so many different levels. Okay, somebody sitting in Mumbai issued this, right, Abhay? Then it goes to Shahjahanpur, which is, I think, the district, zonal office. Then from there it goes to the Pilibhit branch. Hasn't anybody in the chain of command ever looked at this piece of paper and said, how is it that a farmer with a 4 lakh loan can stand guarantee for a 500 crore outstanding loan? I mean, it's failure at multiple levels on the chain of command, isn't it, Abhay?
True, you know, I said it right in the beginning, this is not defensible. And while I agree with the fact that the strictest action, if Bank of Baroda management wants to protect its brand, need to be taken against the people who have had a lapse in the process. And if processes are wrong, they need to be corrected. Forget waiving of 40,000, I would go to the extent the apology should not come from the branch manager, the apology should come from the senior management of the bank, the senior most people in the bank. And I think without even him having to go to an NGO, there should be a compensation for the agony and the trauma that the person has gone through. But having said that, I think it's unfair for us to generalize this and put all public sector banks into as if they're doing nothing or everything is wrong with them. Trust me, I mean, they do a lot of good things also. There is a lot of benefit that has happened to the country in terms of the reach, in terms of a lot of other things. I can go into details which public sector banks are responsible for. So I would not go to the extreme end of saying that, because of this incident, the whole public sector, I mean, they're a part of the country. I mean, these are national assets.
No, but
So
at least you agree in as much as this investigation
Yes,
is
they need
concerned, as far as this story is concerned, you do feel that somebody should be held accountable. I mean, this is indefensible, like you said.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, and not at one level, at various levels, and wherever there has been a procedure lapse, I'm sure the regulator will come down heavily on this, and they have been doing it. I'm sure the management, which is a very good management, will the senior management look into it, and I'm pretty confident that if there's a provision to compensate these people who have been wrong for the agony and trauma, that will be done.
Okay.
I was just trying to make a point that we tend to sometimes,
Yeah. I get it. I mean, our attempt is not to try and paint every public sector bank with the same brush, but Sanjay Sawant wanted to come in on this.
Zaka,
Yeah.
when I visit Nariman Point branch, where that letter sent to across Pilibhat, Khar and Bandra,
Yeah.
that one senior person know the whole issue, and he told me that casually that we did a mistake. But when I asked him, did you say sorry or apology to the customer? He said, why? It's a technical error. So this is the way like a Bank of Baroda bank treating like a customer who are a security guard or a vendor.
Yeah. I mean, he said it so nonchalantly, but I think that simply points to the gravity of this problem. And I keep coming back to it. I mean, you can have a technical glitch once, but for it to repeatedly continue, I think it calls for, at least prima facie, calls for some form of an investigation. And like I said, our appeal is to the finance minister. He had just a few days ago promised protection to those banks from investigating agencies who would reach a prudent settlement with defaulters and people who owe them money. I don't think there's anything prudent about what the Bank of Baroda has done, and I think the prudent thing to do would be to hold to account those people because of whom farmers like Manmohan Singh and security guards like Subhash Gupta have literally gone to hell and back. Thank you very much for this investigation, Shishir Tripathi and Sanjay Sawant. Fascinating story. In case you want to read more about it, you can go to firstpost.com. I also want to appreciate Abhay Amma for joining us and being very forthwith on his views on this, as well as Giri Prakash for joining us on the Talking Point tonight.